Welcome to Concrete Block, the podcast where we break down the latest news and current events, giving you a comprehensive understanding of what's happening in the world. I'm your host, Walter, and I'm glad you're joining us today. We're starting off with a story that's been making waves in the world of politics and economics. According to recent polls, President Trump's approval rating has hit a new low, with many Americans expressing dissatisfaction with his handling of various issues. But that's not all. The president has also been facing criticism for his claims about trade deals, specifically his assertion that he's made 200 deals on tariffs. Now, let's take a closer look at this story. In a recent interview, President Trump stated that he's made 200 deals on tariffs, but when asked to provide specifics, his cabinet members seem to struggle to come up with concrete examples. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent attempted to clarify the president's statement, suggesting that he was referring to sub-deals within ongoing negotiations. However, when pressed for more information, Bessent failed to provide any tangible evidence of these deals. Meanwhile, another cabinet member, Agriculture Secretary Sonny Perdue, was also unable to provide details on the supposed trade agreements. It's worth noting that China, a key player in the trade negotiations, has denied that any talks have taken place, contradicting the administration's claims. It's essential to approach this story with a critical eye, considering multiple sources and perspectives. While some may argue that the president's unconventional approach to trade negotiations is a strategic move, others see it as a sign of chaos and unpredictability. As we delve deeper into this story, we'll examine the potential implications of these trade deals, or lack thereof, on the global economy and American businesses. We'll also explore the possible reasons behind the administration's inconsistent messaging and what this might mean for the future of international trade. We'll be right back with more of today's top news on Concrete Block. Welcome back to Concrete Block. We're diving into the complex world of international diplomacy, where negotiations between Russia and Ukraine are ongoing, facilitated by the United States. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has emphasized that a negotiated settlement is the only solution for the war in Ukraine, stating that both parties will have to give up something. This perspective underscores the challenging nature of finding a peaceful resolution, given the deep-seated issues at play. On one hand, there's a push for a peace deal that could potentially involve territorial concessions. The Trump administration has proposed taking control of the Zaporizhzhia nuclear plant, which would then provide electricity to both Russia and Ukraine. However, counter-proposals from Europe and Ukraine suggest discussing occupied Ukrainian territory only after a ceasefire is in effect. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer has expressed concern that President Trump might cave to Russian President Vladimir Putin's demands, which could have significant implications for the region's stability and security. It's essential to consider multiple viewpoints and the potential consequences of any agreement reached. Meanwhile, on the ground in Ukraine, particularly in regions like Zaporizhzhia, which could be claimed by Russia under a peace deal, locals are questioning whether the Trump administration fully grasps the reality of their situation. The human impact of these negotiations cannot be overstated, as people's lives and futures hang in the balance. As we continue to follow this developing story, it's crucial to prioritize fairness and accuracy, acknowledging the intricacies involved. We'll keep a close eye on how these negotiations unfold and what they might mean for global politics. Stay tuned for our final story of the day, right here on Concrete Block. Welcome back to Concrete Block. We're wrapping up today's show with a look at the ongoing conflict in the Middle East. The situation between Israel and Hamas continues to escalate, with both sides suffering significant losses. To give you an update, recent talks between Qatari officials and Israeli representatives have shown some signs of progress, but a lasting ceasefire remains elusive. The Qatari Prime Minister Sheikh Mohammed bin Abdulrahman Al Thani has stated that while there's been a bit of progress in negotiations, the core issue of how to end the war is still unresolved. Hamas has rejected an Israeli proposal for a 45-day ceasefire, which included conditions such as complete disarmament and the release of hostages. Instead, Hamas is pushing for a more comprehensive agreement that would address the humanitarian crisis in Gaza and potentially involve the Palestinian Authority taking over governance of the region. The conflict has resulted in devastating losses on both sides, with the Gaza Health Ministry reporting over 52,000 deaths since the start of the war. The Israeli military has also suffered casualties, including the recent killing of an Israeli soldier and a police officer. It's essential to acknowledge the complexity of this issue and the deeply held convictions of all parties involved. The international community is calling for a peaceful resolution, with organizations like the UN emphasizing the need for Israel to ensure adequate supplies for the 2.1 million Palestinians in Gaza. As we conclude today's segment, it's crucial to recognize that the path forward will require careful diplomacy and a commitment to finding common ground. We'll continue to monitor the situation and provide updates as more information becomes available. That's all for today's Concrete Block. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, stay informed.